everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today's yoga chat video is going to be for pregnant ladies. So this is just going to be a quick few tips on if you are pregnant and you are going into a regular yoga class. So if you aren't specifically going to a pregnancy yoga class, these are some tips that you can take with you into your regular vinyasa or your hatha or your power yoga class, which will allow you to continue practicing yoga for as long as you want to during your pregnancy. I'm sure you'll get to maybe a point in your pregnancy where you might feel like a pregnancy specific yoga class would be a little bit more beneficial to you. At this point in time, you want to keep up with your vinyasa or your astanga or whatever you practice, and these are just some tips that are going to help you continue your practice just with a few tweaks. So my first tip would be to tell the teacher when you go into your yoga class. So you don't have to announce it in front of everyone. Maybe just pull the teacher to one side and just say, look, I'm pregnant. Is there anything that I should adjust or be aware of in this class? And then they will give you modifications on poses that they maybe have planned. They'll maybe just keep an eye on you throughout the class and just kind of have a quick word and just be like, maybe twist this way instead of that way. But yeah, it's really important to tell your teacher just so they're aware and can offer adjustments and modifications that you might need. So my second tip is that there are some poses that we maybe want to avoid when we are pregnant, and a lot of them are like common sense. Basically, no squashing or compressing the baby. So no lying on the stomach, no very deep twists, for example hugging the knee into the chest and like kind of squashing into the stomach. You can still do that knee hug, but maybe just bring your knee a little bit more to the side so you're still creating space through the stomach area and not squashing into baby. But as I say, if you mention it to your yoga teacher at the beginning of class, they will know what poses that they plan to teach and like how they can modify it for you. With twists, often I just say to people, twist the opposite way. So rather than twisting into the knee and compressing the stomach area, I'd say do exactly the opposite, and that's going to still give you a nice twist through the back, but not press into the stomach and into baby. My third tip is go to around 70% of your flexibility when you are pregnant. This is because it's really easy to overstretch when you're pregnant, because when you become pregnant, a hormone is produced called relaxin, and this allows our joints to soften to prepare us for labor, which is great for our pelvis, but actually it happens to all of our joints, so elbows, knees, hips, shoulders. So you might find you're a little bit more kind of limber than you would usually feel, which sounds great in theory for yoga. You're like, cool, yeah, I can get a really good stretch. But actually we don't want to be overstretching ourselves. It can cause issues for when we are postpartum and the relaxin diminishes, and then you've overstretched where you don't quite have the strength to compensate for that flexibility, if that makes sense. So yeah, go to around 70%. You don't want to be going to like your full flexibility when you are pregnant. So at the end of a yoga class, we usually come into Savasana on our back. However, this isn't really appropriate for pregnant ladies. You want to be on your side. So preferably you want to be on your left side. This is going to allow for good blood flow to the lower half of your body and your baby. I've been doing a little bit of reading on this, and they say either side is fine, but the left side is more preferable. So if you can practice sleeping on your left side and getting comfortable in your Savasana on your left side. And if you don't usually find that comfortable, like particularly on a hard kind of yoga studio floor, you can pop down a blanket for the side of your hip, maybe a blanket for your head, and even pop a block in between the knees as well. Just might alleviate just any pulling in the side of the hip. This is a little Brucey bonus one that I've just thought of that's not written on my list. This is just a little tweak to a few poses in your yoga practice. So generally, a lot of people teach feet together, so big toes to touch, heels apart. However, this might not be comfortable for your hips at this point as they are starting to widen with your pregnancy. So bring your feet about hip width apart. You can go a little bit wider. This is just going to allow for you to be a little bit more stable in your balance and also just make space for your hips. So often when you become pregnant, you might find that your balance is slightly off because you're not used to your body being in the shape that it is growing into or currently growing at. My final tip for pregnant ladies in a yoga class is trust your intuition. You are the expert. Even if this is your first pregnancy, you are still the expert. Your intuition knows best. And the hardest part of that is just kind of teaching ourselves to really listen to it. Like, if the class isn't your thing, if you need to take a child's pose, if you need to just take a seat, if you even need to leave the class, that is fine. Like, trust your intuition. I think there's quite an outdated concept of teacher knows best or Google knows best, but actually you know best. You know best for your body. It's just about learning how to listen to your intuition. So yeah, please do that. Like, if you do need to leave a class, if it's just not your vibe, if it's just not working for you today, the teacher will not take it personally, I'm sure, particularly if you've already told them that you're pregnant. Yeah, so trust your intuition, it's a big one. Thank you so much for joining me for this yoga chat today. I really hope it helps some of you pregnant ladies out there. If you aren't pregnant yourself, but you have friends that are, please share this video with them. Hopefully they get a little bit of use out of it. And I'll see you again tomorrow for another yoga flow.